After 8 years of divorce, Daniel stood quietly at the center of the Whitmore Industries anniversary gala while his ex-wife laughed at his worn suit and whispered that he was still just a repairman. What she didn't know was that the man she had arrived with, the successful executive she was proudly showing off, worked for Daniel. And Daniel had spent 8 years building something far greater than a bank account, a life his daughter could be proud of. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet strength of people who refuse to give up, please like, comment, share this story, and subscribe to Tears of Kindness. Your support helps these stories reach someone who may need hope today. 8 years earlier, Daniel had watched his marriage collapse beneath the weight of unpaid bills, long workdays, and misunderstandings. His wife, Victoria, had wanted a different life. She wanted expensive restaurants, elegant parties, and a husband whose name opened doors. Daniel had been a maintenance technician, the kind of man who spent his mornings repairing machines and his evenings helping his little daughter, Emma, with homework. When Victoria left, she took almost everything except Emma, who chose to stay with her father. Daniel never blamed his daughter for loving her mother, and he never spoke badly about Victoria. Instead, he worked harder. Those 8 years were not easy. Daniel repaired factory equipment during the day and took emergency jobs at night. There were winters when his apartment was cold because he couldn't afford a proper heater, and birthdays when Emma received handmade gifts because money was tight. But Daniel never let his daughter see shame in their situation. He taught her that a person's value was not measured by the car they drove or the clothes they wore. It was measured by what they did when nobody was watching. Over time, Daniel's knowledge became impossible to ignore. He had an extraordinary understanding of industrial machinery, and when a small manufacturing company nearly collapsed because of repeated equipment failures, Daniel designed a simple solution that saved them hundreds of thousands of dollars. Investors noticed. Companies began asking for his advice. Eventually, Daniel founded his own industrial maintenance and engineering firm. He remained humble, but his company grew rapidly until it became one of Whitmore Industries' most trusted partners. That was how Daniel ended up at the gala that night, wearing a perfectly tailored navy suit and standing beneath crystal chandeliers. He wasn't there to impress anyone. He was there because Whitmore Industries had just signed a major partnership with his company. Then Victoria walked through the doors. She looked exactly as Daniel remembered, elegant and confident, but her eyes changed when she recognized him. She looked at his suit, then at the people around him, and finally smiled as if she had discovered an old joke. Her new partner, Marcus, stood beside her. Marcus was a senior executive at Whitmore Industries, and Victoria clearly enjoyed making Daniel feel small in front of him. She introduced Daniel as her former husband and described him as someone who still fixes machines for a living. A few people chuckled. Daniel simply smiled. Marcus, however, didn't laugh. He stared at Daniel with sudden recognition. Marcus knew exactly who Daniel was. Daniel wasn't some ordinary technician. He was the founder and majority owner of the company that had just signed Whitmore's largest equipment contract of the year. Marcus had personally worked with Daniel's management team for months. The room seemed to change when Marcus finally stepped forward and greeted Daniel with genuine respect. He explained that Daniel's company had saved Whitmore from a disastrous production shutdown and that Daniel was one of the most respected problem solvers in the industry. Victoria's smile disappeared. Daniel could have humiliated her. After 8 years of being told he wasn't successful enough, he finally had the perfect opportunity to show her how wrong she had been. But instead, he looked at her calmly and told her that he hoped she was happy. There was no bitterness in his voice. That answer hurt her more than anger ever could. Later that evening, Victoria found Daniel alone near the balcony. She admitted that she had spent years believing she had made the right choice by leaving him. But seeing him standing there, confident and respected, made her realize she had misunderstood what success really meant. Daniel told her that success hadn't been the money. It had been Emma. It had been every night he stayed awake helping her study, every morning he packed her lunch, every time he chose patience when anger would have been easier. Then Emma arrived at the gala. She hugged her father tightly and proudly introduced him to her friends as the man who had taught her that kindness mattered more than status. Daniel looked at his daughter and felt every difficult year become worth it. Victoria watched silently. She finally understood that Daniel hadn't spent 8 years trying to prove her wrong. He had spent 8 years becoming the father his daughter needed. And that was the victory she could never take away from him. If this story touched your heart, please like the video, share it with someone who believes people can rebuild their lives, and subscribe to Tears of Kindness. Sometimes the greatest comeback isn't making someone regret leaving you, it's becoming so at peace that you no longer need their regret. Before the story ends, comment, "Kindness is the real success," if you believe that a person's worth should never be measured by money, status, or appearances. Daniel left the gala that night holding Emma's hand. Behind him was the life Victoria had once walked away from. Ahead of him was everything he had built with patience, love, and courage. 8 years after his divorce, Daniel finally understood something simple: he hadn't lost his marriage. He had found himself. And sometimes, the most beautiful second chance isn't getting someone back. It's discovering that you were never truly lost in the first place.